Paul's letter to the Romans was written with an earnest attempt to unify a divided church in the first century. So lest you think there was once a glorified time without the presence of church politics, think again. We unfortunately have not known church without rift and division. The Roman church was deeply divided. The number of Gentiles who had converted to Christianity left the community looking very non-Jewish in its practice. And that was causing tension with Jewish Christians who were still very tied to the Torah. And so their debates centered on things like whether non-Jewish Christians should celebrate Sabbath or eat kosher or be circumcised. And Paul stresses throughout the letter that his fellow Israelites are missing the point. Salvation isn't going to happen through obedience to the laws of the Torah. Jesus' death and resurrection has changed all of that. It's not about performance. It's about faith in the risen Lord. For if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Sounds simple, right? Not exactly in the first century, when this was written and when Christianity was not the predominant religion of the time. To confess Jesus as Lord put the early disciples in danger. It disrupted family and other social relationships, and oftentimes came with great economic risk. Think of the times Jesus warns his disciples in the Gospels that discipleship would not be easy. In Luke, he warns how a household will be divided, father against son, mother against daughter. In Matthew, shortly before he dies, he lets the disciples know that their fate will not be so far from his own. He says they will hand you over to persecution and they will kill you. You will be hated by all nations because of my name. I can't imagine how terrifying that would have been to hear. The confession of faith doesn't sound so simple anymore, does it? But in this letter to the Romans, Paul is assuring the followers of Jesus, no one who believes in Jesus will be put to shame. So how do we hear that in our culture today, in a country where Christianity is the predominant religion, where most of the times it doesn't take courage to profess Jesus as Lord, but in some ways has become trite with bumper stickers and hashtags? If Paul were preaching to the church today, I think he would have a different message. I think he would challenge us to see that our words have lost their meaning, that our profession doesn't have implication, that we have forgotten the cost of the call, the challenge of the gospel, that our lives are no longer interrupted or disrupted. To profess that Jesus is Lord demands a congruence of our beliefs, our words, and our action. To truly live out our faith does take courage because it is inconvenient. It takes time and energy and resources to practice the works of mercy that Dorothy Day speaks of in today's contemporary word. To truly live out our faith takes courage because it is uncomfortable. As a white Christian today, it is uncomfortable to acknowledge that racism is still so prevalent in this country, and that my own silence plays a part in that. And so preaching the gospel today means proclaiming loudly that Black Lives Matter, especially in the wake of another horrific mass shooting as in Buffalo. To live out our faith takes courage because it can feel lonely. But hear the words of Paul. You will not be put to shame. So let's be courageous, friends, and lace up our shoes and be the feet that go out to spread the good, albeit challenging, news.